There comes a moment in life when you have to stop asking, when will it happen, and begin asking, who am I becoming while I wait? Because sometimes the thing you want is not being denied. It is simply not ready, and neither are you. You have spent enough nights wondering why someone else received what you prayed for. You have watched doors open for people who seemed less prepared, less patient, less deserving. You have questioned your timing. You have questioned your worth. You have wondered whether the universe somehow forgot your name. But what if it did not forget you? What if the delay is not punishment? What if the silence is not rejection? What if some things had to leave your life because they were taking up space that something better needed? You do not have to chase every door. You do not have to beg every person to recognize your value. You do not have to exhaust yourself trying to force life into giving you what you believe you need right now. Sometimes your greatest act of courage is to become still, to breathe, to release, to say, I may not understand this moment, but I will not allow this moment to destroy my peace, because there is a difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up says, nothing good will ever happen for me. Letting go says, I trust that what is truly meant for me does not require me to lose myself. And that kind of trust changes everything. You begin walking differently when you no longer feel desperate to prove that you deserve a place at the table. You begin choosing differently when you understand that rejection can sometimes be protection. You begin sleeping differently when you stop carrying tomorrow on your shoulders. So if life feels quiet right now, do not mistake quiet for emptiness. Something may be rearranging. Something may be growing where you cannot see it. Something may be preparing you for a life that requires a stronger version of yourself. Stay calm. Do not let another person's timeline become evidence against your own. Do not let a temporary disappointment become a permanent belief about your future. Your story is still unfolding. And perhaps the most beautiful thing you can do today is stop chasing what keeps running away from you. Turn inward, protect your peace, and trust that what is truly worthy of your heart will meet you when you are no longer willing to abandon yourself just to have it. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that comes from trying to force something into your life that does not want to stay. You push harder, explain more, wait longer, forgive repeatedly, and convince yourself that if you just give a little more, sacrifice a little more, or prove your worth a little better, everything will finally fall into place. But sometimes the struggle is not a sign that you need to try harder. Sometimes the struggle is the message. Not everything you desire is designed to remain in your life. Some people arrive to teach you something and then leave. Some opportunities disappear because they would have taken you somewhere you were never meant to go. Some doors close because continuing through them would have required you to become someone you were never supposed to be. And although these endings can feel cruel in the moment, they may later reveal themselves as protection. We are often taught to believe that persistence means never letting go. But there is wisdom in recognizing when persistence has become desperation. There is strength in knowing when to stop knocking on a door that has already told you no. You do not have to spend your entire life convincing someone to appreciate you, convincing an opportunity to choose you, or convincing circumstances to become something they have repeatedly shown you they cannot be. Letting go does not mean that you stop caring. It means you stop allowing what you cannot control to control you. You can still have dreams. You can still hope. You can still work toward the life you desire. But you do not have to attach your entire peace to one particular outcome. There is a difference between saying, this is what I want, and saying, this must happen, or I cannot be happy. The first leaves room for life to surprise you. The second turns your dream into a prison. Sometimes the universe has a way of removing what you would have kept simply because you were afraid of being without it. You may cry over a relationship that ended, only to discover months later that you had been shrinking yourself to keep it alive. You may mourn a job you lost, only to discover that leaving created the space for something more meaningful. You may feel rejected by a person whose approval you desperately wanted, only to realize that their inability to recognize your value never determined your value in the first place. Your task is not to force every piece into the puzzle. Your task is to remain open to discovering where the pieces actually belong. When you stop forcing, you begin listening. You notice patterns. You recognize opportunities you were too distracted to see. You become aware of how much energy you were spending on things that were never returning that energy to you. And slowly your life becomes quieter, not because nothing is happening, but because you are no longer fighting every current. There is dignity in saying, I wanted this, but I will not lose myself trying to have it. There is peace in accepting that something can be beautiful and still not be yours. There is freedom in understanding that an ending does not automatically mean failure. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not receiving what you demanded from life, but becoming peaceful enough to recognize what life was trying to give you instead. So release what requires constant chasing. Release what repeatedly diminishes you. Release the need to understand every closed door. And trust that your life does not become smaller simply because something you wanted could not remain. Because sometimes letting go is exactly how you make room for what was always meant to find you. Patience is often misunderstood. People see someone waiting quietly and assume that person has no ambition, no courage, or no desire for more. But real patience is not passivity. It is the strength to keep moving forward without allowing desperation to take control of your spirit. It is knowing what you want while refusing to destroy your peace because you do not have it yet. There will be seasons when everything seems to happen for everyone except you. You will watch other people reach milestones you have been praying about for years. Someone else will receive the opportunity you wanted. Someone else will find the relationship, success, recognition, or stability you have been longing for. In those moments, impatience can whisper that you are falling behind. It can convince you that you must hurry, compete, compare, or settle simply because someone else appears to be ahead. But life is not a race with one finish line. Your timing is not required to resemble anyone else's. You cannot measure the value of your journey by looking at another person's calendar. What arrives quickly for someone else may not be what you need. What takes longer to reach you may require a version of yourself that has not yet been formed. Sometimes the waiting season is doing work inside you that achievement alone could never accomplish. Patience teaches you how to endure uncertainty without becoming bitter. It teaches you how to remain hopeful without becoming dependent on immediate results. It teaches you how to continue working when applause is absent, and how to believe in yourself when nobody else can yet see what you are becoming. That is not weakness. That is discipline. Anyone can feel confident when everything is working. The deeper test comes when the road becomes quiet, and you have no guarantee about what comes next. Can you continue? Can you remain kind? Can you protect your peace? Can you refuse to become cruel simply because life has disappointed you? Patience gives you that power. It allows you to understand that some things cannot be rushed without being damaged. A seed cannot be shouted into becoming a tree. A wound cannot be commanded to heal overnight. A meaningful life cannot always be built according to the urgency of your fears. Some transformations require silence, repetition, failure, reflection, and time. So when nothing seems to be happening, remember that invisible does not mean inactive. Roots grow beneath the ground before anyone sees the tree. Your character can be developing during seasons when your circumstances appear unchanged. Your understanding can deepen while your external life remains uncertain. Do not confuse waiting with wasting. Use the waiting ride. Learn, build, rest, reflect, strengthen your habits, become more honest with yourself. Prepare for the opportunities you hope will arrive. Let the person you become during the waiting season be someone capable of carrying the life you have been asking for. And when impatience rises, breathe before you react. You do not need to make a permanent decision because of a temporary feeling. You do not need to abandon your values because you are tired of waiting. You do not need to accept less simply because you are afraid that nothing better will come. Stay steady. Your patience is evidence that you are learning to trust yourself even when the future is uncertain. It means you can hold desire in one hand and peace in the other. You can work toward more while appreciating what exists today. You can believe that something better is possible without allowing the absence of it to convince you that your present life has no meaning, and perhaps the greatest strength is not getting everything exactly when you want it, but becoming so grounded that when life finally opens the door, you are ready to walk through it without fear, desperation, or the need to prove that you deserve to arrive. There is a quiet power in protecting your peace when life has not yet given you the answers you want. Anyone can feel calm when everything is going according to plan, but the deeper kind of peace appears when the future is uncertain and you still choose not to let fear become the voice that controls your decisions. Waiting can make the mind restless. It can make you question your worth. Compare your journey with others, and search constantly for signs that something is about to change. But you do not have to spend every moment searching for an answer that time has not yet revealed. Your peace is valuable. Treat it as something worth protecting. There will always be people who have opinions about how quickly your life should move. Someone will tell you that you should have achieved more by now. Someone else will make you feel behind because their life looks more successful from the outside. Social media can make this even harder because you see celebrations without seeing the years of uncertainty behind them. You see the destination without seeing the road. If you constantly compare your unfinished chapters with somebody else's highlight, you will create suffering that does not belong to you. Protecting your peace means learning to step away from that comparison. It means understanding that another person's success does not announce your failure. Their relationship does not mean you are unlovable. Their opportunity does not mean your opportunity has disappeared. Their progress does not steal anything from your future. You can celebrate someone else's arrival while still believing that your own journey matters. Protecting your peace also means becoming careful about what you allow into your mind. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every person deserves unlimited access to your emotions. Sometimes peace requires distance. Sometimes it requires silence. Sometimes it requires saying no without writing a long explanation. You do not have to defend every choice you make. You do not have to convince everyone that your path is valid. You do not have to respond to every misunderstanding. There is tremendous freedom in realizing that your life does not need to be explained to everyone watching it. And while you wait for something better, do not put your entire life on pause. Do not tell yourself that you will finally be happy when the relationship arrives, when the money increases, when the opportunity appears, or when someone finally recognizes your value. Your present deserves to be lived too. Drink the tea while it is warm. Take the walk. Call the person who brings you joy. Learn something new. Create something meaningful. Give yourself permission to experience beauty before your circumstances become perfect. Peace does not mean that you have stopped wanting more. It means you have stopped making your happiness dependent on having more. You can desire a better future without rejecting the present. You can have goals without becoming consumed by them. You can wait for an answer without allowing uncertainty to steal every peaceful moment you have today. Remember that some seasons are not asking you to run. They are asking you to become still enough to hear yourself again. When the noise disappears, you may discover that you were carrying expectations that never belonged to you. You may discover that some of your anxiety came from trying to control things that were never yours to control, so let life unfold without constantly fighting it. Do what is yours to do. Release what is beyond your hands. And guard the quiet place inside you where hope can survive, because sometimes protecting your peace is the most powerful way of preparing yourself for everything that is still on its way. There are seasons in life when you have to believe in what you cannot yet see. You may look around and find no evidence that things are changing. The door remains closed. The phone remains silent. The opportunity has not arrived. The person you hoped would return has moved on. The dream that once felt close suddenly seems impossibly far away. In moments like these, it is easy to believe that nothing is happening. But life does not always announce its transformations while they are taking place. Some of the most important changes happen quietly. A seed does its greatest work beneath the soil. You cannot see the roots reaching downward, but they are preparing the plant for everything that will eventually appear above the surface. Your life can be like that. There may be things developing beyond your sight, connections forming, lessons taking shape, circumstances shifting, and opportunities moving toward you before you have any proof that they exist. This does not mean you should sit still and expect everything to magically appear. Trust is not an excuse for inaction. You still have responsibilities. You still have to make choices, learn, work, grow, and take reasonable steps toward the life you desire. But there is a difference between taking action and trying to control every outcome. You can knock on a door without demanding that it open. You can make an effort without attaching your identity to the result. You can hope for something without believing that your happiness will disappear if it does not happen exactly as planned. That is where trust begins. Sometimes what you deserve does not arrive in the form you expected. You may ask for one opportunity and receive another. You may pray for one relationship and discover that losing it created space for a healthier connection. You may desperately want a particular destination, only to discover that another road leads somewhere far more meaningful. Life has a way of surprising people who are willing to remain open. The danger of becoming obsessed with one outcome is that you may become blind to the possibilities standing beside it. You can become so focused on the door you wanted that you fail to notice the window opening nearby. You can become so attached to one person's approval that you overlook the people who already value you. You can become so determined to preserve an old dream that you never notice the new one quietly forming inside you. Trust allows you to loosen your grip. It tells you that you do not need to know every detail of the journey before taking the next step. You only need enough courage to keep moving without abandoning yourself. And when disappointment comes, trust reminds you that one rejection is not a final judgment on your life. One ending is not the conclusion of your story. One unanswered prayer does not mean that you have been forgotten. Sometimes an answer takes the form of redirection, and sometimes protection looks exactly like disappointment before time reveals its purpose. So keep your heart open, but keep your feet grounded. Continue becoming the person you want to be. Continue preparing for the opportunities you hope to receive. Continue choosing peace over panic and purpose over comparison. You do not have to chase everything that belongs to you. What is truly aligned with your life will not require you to destroy your dignity to obtain it. Perhaps your responsibility is simply to keep growing, keep walking, and remain willing to recognize the blessing when it finally arrives. Because what you deserve may already be making its way toward you through a path you cannot yet see. There is something important to understand about waiting for the life you desire. Sometimes the waiting is not only about when the blessing will arrive, but about who you will be when it does. We often ask for greater opportunities, deeper relationships, more success, more freedom, more peace, and a life that feels meaningful. But we rarely stop to ask whether we are becoming capable of carrying those things responsibly. Desire points toward a destination, but preparation builds the person who can live there. You may want success, but are you developing the discipline to handle it? You may want love, but are you learning how to communicate trust and respect yourself? You may want peace, but are you willing to release the habits, environments, and relationships that constantly disturb it? You may want a better life, but are you preparing yourself to make better choices? These questions matter because receiving something and sustaining it are two different things. An opportunity can arrive and disappear if you are not prepared to recognize it or use it wisely. A healthy relationship can enter your life, but you may not know how to receive healthy love if you are still attached to chaos. A new chapter can open, but you cannot fully step into it if you are still emotionally living inside the chapter that ended. That is why the waiting season can be valuable. It gives you time to become stronger without the pressure of having everything you want immediately. It gives you room to examine your habits, your beliefs, your fears, and your expectations. It allows you to ask yourself what needs to change before you ask life to change around you. Preparation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like waking up and keeping one promise to yourself. Sometimes it means learning to say no. Sometimes it means saving money, reading, practicing a skill, becoming more organized, or taking responsibility for choices you once blamed on everyone else. Sometimes preparation means becoming emotionally mature enough to stop returning to situations that repeatedly hurt you. Every small act of growth matters. You do not have to become perfect before good things happen. You simply need to become more conscious of the person you are becoming. Growth is not about creating a flawless version of yourself. It is about becoming someone who can respond to life with greater wisdom than you had yesterday. So instead of spending every day asking, when will it happen? Ask yourself, what can I build today? If the opportunity came tomorrow, would you be ready? If the right people entered your life tomorrow, would you recognize their value? If the freedom you wanted suddenly became available, would you know how to use it? If the dream finally became real, would your habits support the reality you imagined? These questions are not meant to discourage you. They are invitations to prepare. Do not allow waiting to become an excuse for standing still. Let it become a workshop for your character. Build your confidence. Strengthen your boundaries. Develop your patience. Learn to communicate honestly. Take better care of your time. Become comfortable being alone with your thoughts. Stop measuring your worth by how quickly circumstances change. The person you become while waiting may be more important than the thing you are waiting to receive. And perhaps one day, when the door finally opens, you will realize that the delay was not empty time at all. It was the season in which you learned how to walk through that door with confidence, gratitude, wisdom, and the quiet strength to hold the life you once prayed would arrive.